Good morning. Welcome to the Premium Public Video Forecast discussion for Friday, August 18th, 2023. We have a lot to talk about, so let's first dive into the tropics, where it's picking up in activity, kind of. What we have right now, as we move towards the end of August here, now we're kind of getting to that point where the activity really starts to ramp up here. We have a few disturbances that we're keeping an eye on. No immediate development, but something to watch. So we'll go from west to east here. First of all, we have this disturbance here around the Bahamas. No immediate development. It's associated with a mid-level low pressure system, which is cold core. But as it meanders across and marches into the Gulf of Mexico, where we'll start to develop a very strong ridge over the upper Midwest, it's going to support tranquil weather conditions and very hot weather conditions. It's also going to support a slightly favorable environment in the Gulf of Mexico for some development over the next 5 to 7 days. It's also going to produce a persistent westerly wind. So that means that, or should I say easterly wind. So what that means is that with that easterly wind, it's going to drive whatever is festering here right into the Texas coastline. Right now, it looks like just pretty much a trough, but it could produce a tropical low pressure system, maybe a tropical depression or a storm. We'll keep an eye on it. Right now, it only has about 30% chance of developing. Then we have our next disturbance out here, which also is going to be heading towards the Lesser Antilles and then towards the Greater Antilles. This, again, will have the potential of developing, but it's not in the best environment because of sheer and dry air. You know, what we've been talking about all season. And with El Nino intensifying, it's going to be a little bit harder to get in a favorable environment for this disturbance. And the next one's right here. Again, mid-level circulation, but not much of a low-level circulation just yet. It is producing plenty of showers and thunderstorms, but again, it's moving into an environment where the conditions aren't exactly very favorable, so there's about a 40% chance of developing over the next 5 to 7 days. Then, the feature that I think has the best chance of developing, and also the NHC, is this one right here. It has a pretty well-established mid-level circulation. Low-level circulation is starting to organize. You're starting to see some cyclonic circulation to the showers and thunderstorms here. A little bit of an anticyclonic circulation in the upper levels. So that means our warm core is maturing and developing. And it is in an environment where it's a little bit more favorable for some development. So of all these features, this one is probably your best potential. Now, I always put this caveat when it comes to forecasting for tropical low pressure systems. I do not trust model guidance, especially in terms of intensity or track, until I actually get the warm core low to develop, because there's a lot of processes that get involved in here that can short circuit that development that synoptic scale, like the European or the GFS, can't handle very well. So what I would say is that yes, activity is starting to percolate up, which you would expect because we're heading towards the peak of the hurricane season, but nothing is imminent and nothing is on the way for now, but we'll be keeping an eye on it. Meanwhile, closer to home, well, things are getting a little bit more interesting. First of all, I do want to touch on the fact that our El Nino continues to evolve. Our SOI values are steadily in the negative state. The daily contributions are kind of bouncing back and forth, so we don't have a strong drop just yet like what we were having in the past couple of weeks. But certainly El Nino is influencing this weather pattern. We can see that very clearly in our upper level pattern here that is taking place. So over the next 10 days, you're going to see this very powerful heat ridge start to develop over the plains. Now, what does that mean for us? Well, it's going to set up a very impressive gradient, because while that's happening in the plains and in the upper Midwest, we are going to get a persistent trough in a northwesterly flow over our neck of the woods. And this leads to a little bit more of a volatile weather forecast, because you're going to have these cold fronts dropping down, producing an isolated shower or thunderstorm, but the main impact will be the temperature gradient that sets up, where the Philadelphia metro more likely will be on the warmer or hotter end of this range, and the New York City metro, and especially towards Connecticut, are going to be in the colder range here. So the closer you are to New England, the more likely you will remain below normal for temperatures heading into next week. But in the meantime, while all that's evolving, it looks like the weekend is going to look absolutely beautiful. So that's certainly some good news. You can see the evolution in this pattern and what we're going to be watching out for over the next couple of weeks, because this could be a very volatile week, period, should I say, going into the middle of September, is with all these tropical low pressure systems, and not just the ones in the Atlantic, but also the Pacific. We're going to have to see how they interact with the 500 millibar pattern, the evolution of these troughs and ridges, and potential amplification. As you can see on the ensemble guidance here, we have a persistent trough here, so this is a good signal for us. If you're worried about hurricanes or anything of that nature, this signal trough right here, this is basically like a goalie kicking anything out that's heading towards the net, which is the mid-Atlantic. So anytime you have this feature here, it basically forces tropical systems to either turn north and away or stay south and towards the Gulf of Mexico and away from the northern mid-Atlantic and the East Coast. So again, we'll continue to keep an eye on this evolution and see how it plays out. Of course, what you don't want to see if you're on the East Coast is any type of below normal heights or troughs around the Tennessee River Valley, because then that could pull a system closer towards the coast. So certainly that is something we do not want to see. When we take a look at the current observations, and let me just pull this off right here. Okay, so we have our cold front moving through, and we have showers and thunderstorms pushing to the east, moving through Long Island, Connecticut. Earlier on, they're moving through New Jersey. Notice off to the west, we have a nice westerly wind. Temperatures have fallen off into the lower to mid 60s over the far northern interior, basically around the Poconos and the Catskills. Upper 60s to lower 70s as you head towards Connecticut and the Hudson River Valley. Upper 60s to lower 70s along the coastal plain as well. And your warm spot is down in southern New Jersey, where you're in the mid to upper 70s with those showers and thunderstorms. Take a look at our surface map and radar from WeatherTap. You can see those showers and thunderstorms steadily moving off to the east. As expected, the strongest lifting is all focused up towards New England, but we did get some impressive thunderstorms moving through Long Island, Connecticut, and New York City Metro with some very heavy rainfall, some frequent lightning, and some powerful wind gusts. But thus far, nothing really came out severe aside from the storms that were moving through Connecticut, and even those have weakened below severe levels. So this cold front will exit out. This cold front will follow and enhance the dry air transport. You can see on the precipitable water values, you see how they've fallen off out here. This is pretty strong dry air transport, kicking out all that tropical moisture and knocking down the humidity, which I'm sure everyone is happy to see go. When you take a look at the mid-level winds, you can see the trough axis starting to push off the coast. And this side right here, this west-northwesterly wind, is going to transport cooler air and drier air into the region. And at 500 millibars, you can see the whole pattern starting to evolve here, with the ridge starting to build over the plains and starting to increase over, heights are starting to increase over the upper Midwest, and our trough is starting to set up more of a negatively tilted trough, shifting more towards New England, with all your strongest lifting off to the east. So we are going to be on this side of this whole complex here, where you're going to get these little disturbances, like possibly some remnant moisture or lifting from our hurricane down here, Hillary, or from these troughs that are moving through the Pacific Northwest. They'll ride around the ridge and drop south towards our neck of the woods, setting up the threat for an isolated thunderstorm threat every day. Not a washout, but you want to keep an eye to the sky as we move forward into our forecast. On our surface, or should I say on our satellite picture, you can see very clearly this is an outflow boundary clearing out. There's our heavier rainfall. This outflow boundary came from these showers and thunderstorms up here. This is the first cold front. This is the second cold front. So you can see everything is moving steadily to the east. And when we take a look at our infrared satellite picture, you can see behind us, beautiful weather. Sunny, quiet, and a little bit warmer. But again, it is summer, so what do you expect? And then on the water vapor satellite picture, you can see the whole upper level pattern evolving here, with our trough lifting through, heading towards New England, and our subtropical jet stream getting suppressed and increasing shear over the Gulf, which probably wouldn't be good news for this disturbance trying to develop here. So again, a lot of activity going on. The El Nino effect is clearly helping to amplify both the polar and the subtropical jet streams. So with that playing out, I just want to show the evolution here of our pattern over the next 90 hours. It's even more striking when you take a look at the temperatures, where you can see the polar air mass clearly building in, and then you can see that really impressive heat building over the plains, trying to spread eastward. Every time it tries to push into our area, notice that the polar air masses just knock it down, and that's because we're on that northwesterly flow, and which is why we have a threat for an isolated thunderstorm every day, because we have these cold fronts moving through. So we're going to constantly be on the edge between this heat dome that is going to be pummeling the Ohio River Valley, Tennessee River Valley, the upper Midwest, the plains with impressive heat, while we are on the edge where we get these short waves dropping through. And again, not a lot of moisture, so I don't expect a lot of heavy downpours here, but you can see what the potential here with the moisture trying to continue to invade and then these cold fronts knocking it down. So let's see here over the next couple of hours. Again, that all clears out on the HRR. On the NAM guidance, same thing. After that cold front clears out, pretty much tranquil into this weekend with comfortable weather conditions. So let's dive into the rest of this forecast for today. Cold front clears out this morning, improving conditions this afternoon with clearing skies, falling humidity. High temperatures range from the mid to upper 70s over the northern interior, lower to mid 80s along the coast. For tonight into tomorrow morning, look for clear skies to sky cloud cover with low temperatures ranging from the lower to mid 50s over the northern interior, upper 50s to lower 60s along the coast. For tomorrow afternoon, look for high temperatures to range from the mid to upper 70s over the northern interior and along the coast, lower to mid 80s in the Delaware River Valley, but low humidity is going to be absolutely beautiful for any type of outdoor activity. On Sunday, we get a little bit more of an increase of humidity because the high pressure pushes off the coast, so we get more of a southwesterly wind, but still pretty nice, with low temperatures ranging from the mid to upper 50s over the northern interior, upper 50s to lower 60s along the coast, and high temperatures will range from the upper 70s to lower 80s over the northern interior, lower to mid 80s along the coast, and mid 80s to lower 90s in the Delaware River Valley. On Monday, a cold front will pass through. Again, just an isolated shower or thunderstorm. This isn't a washout or anything of that nature, but we're just going to keep an eye on the sky, and the best potential for those isolated showers or thunderstorms will be over the Poconos and Catskills. The further south you are, the less likely you'll see any of these thunderstorms as you move through the week. Temperatures on Monday will range from the lower to mid 60s for lows. High temperatures range quite a bit from the mid to upper 80s over the northern interior, mid to upper 80s along the coast, and lower to mid 90s in the Delaware River Valley. On Tuesday, that frontal boundary will linger around the region with, again, an isolated shower or thunderstorm a threat, but for the most part, sky or cloud cover. Look for low temperatures to range from the mid to upper 60s. High temperatures will range, again, quite a bit from the upper 60s to mid 70s over the northern interior, lower to mid 70s along the coast, and upper 70s to lower 80s in the Delaware River Valley. On Wednesday, that frontal boundary hangs around, high pressure to the north, high pressure to the south of us. We're going to continue to be at the threat for an isolated shower thunderstorm, but most locations can expect scattered cloud cover. Look for low temperatures to range from the lower to mid 50s over the northern interior, upper 50s to lower 60s along the coast. High temperatures will range from the mid to upper 70s over the interior, upper 70s to lower 80s along the coast. One caveat, if this cold front is a little bit further north, then we'll start to get some of those higher temperatures in the 80s and 90s, but right now that's expected to stay in the southern mid-Atlantic. On Thursday, another wave of low pressure moves along our frontal boundary with the threat for scattered showers and thunderstorms. Look for low temperatures to range from the lower to mid 60s over the northern interior, mid to upper 60s along the coast. High temperatures will range from the upper 70s to lower 80s over the northern interior and along the coast, lower to mid 80s in the Delaware River Valley. Just want to point out, this right here doesn't have a lot of support, but I know a lot of people are already starting to bring it up. This is not an immediate threat, and we'll continue to keep an eye on it, but like I said beforehand, don't trust model guidance with tropical low pressure systems until it actually forms. Then you can start to have a little bit more trust into it. So this is an extreme grain of salt. On Friday, another area of low pressure will pass through with a few scattered showers and thunderstorms. Look for low temperatures to range from the upper 50s to lower 60s over the northern interior, lower to mid 60s along the coast. High temperatures range from the upper 70s to lower 80s over the northern interior and along the coast, lower to mid 80s in the Delaware River Valley. Have a wonderful weekend, and as always, stay safe out there.